What is happening? What is up, guys? I've never really talked about the whole XRP buyback thing. I mean, everybody's heard it. If you're in this community, you've heard about this Jimmy Vallee guy. But I just wanted to go over and listen to some of this. This is a really good interview by Zach Rector. He only has 54,000 subs, so definitely worth subbing to. I did as soon as I found this one. He takes it pretty seriously, pretty professional dude. Anyways, he interviews Jimmy Vallee, who is behind. He's like a securities guy, a mergers and acquisitions guy, real deal. He's done some really big mergers and acquisitions. Anyways, let's just jump into it, and I'll pause and we can talk about it as we move along. Hold up.
All right, folks, hello and welcome. It is an absolute pleasure and an honor to be sitting down here with Jimmy Vallee, not only connecting through the Zoom link, but we got him sitting at the table with us as we negotiate against some of the most evil entities, powers that be, central bankers that do not have the best interest of the American people at hand. We are working against them as they sit across the table from us. It is an honor and a privilege to have gentlemen like yourself, Jimmy, and others working within this committee, and on behalf of the American people that own this little precious asset, XRP. Jimmy, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you, Zach. Those really kind words. I appreciate that.
Now, I did want to let everyone know that I am not pulling a Kevin O'Leary by wearing shorts and slippers on the bottom half. And I also did not invest in FTX. And so we've been able to enjoy the show. And I hope that everyone's been able to ride out this recession, this bear market. It's been a tough time, but thank God that we didn't follow that program, Jimmy. How about you?
Same. It reminds me of that discussion I had with this banker friend of mine several months ago when I was explaining to him how liquid XRP is. I said it's the most liquid asset in the history of the world, and he was just disputing that. And he was like, name one thing that you can do with XRP that you can't do with the U.S. dollar. And I said, buy natural gas from Russia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that pretty much resolved the conversation.
Yeah. Well,
that's the thing with these digital currencies that people don't understand. This technology is going to change the way the world works completely. We've been able to just sanction countries and do all this other stuff. This is an easy way for Russia, China, everyone to get around that U.S. petrodollar system that we've had. This is literally, and that's the biggest thing too, is all of these banks and institutions with the interbank lending, and when we free up all of that liquidity in these banks, I mean, they hold on to all of this, and it's literally, later on he goes over it, it's insane how much money it can free up, and the liquidity is wild. It's nuts. The world is changing right in front of us, guys.
Oh, Jimmy, speaking of, you've done some incredible work in the energy field. I wanted to talk about your background and let people know who Jimmy Vallee is. This guy has a legal background, but if I had to describe you, Jimmy, I would describe you as a lawyer who's a deal maker. So you practiced law, but then you got into getting deals done. Massive deals, by the way. And I also was going to tell you, too, that I think I need to do a whole other deep dive on your background because it's extensive. But briefly, let's touch on some of these bigger deals that you did back in the day and kind of your legal background as well, please.
Okay. Sure. Well, I see some of the more marquee deals that I was involved in was I was on the team at Jones Day that advised Continental Airlines and its merger with United Airlines. That was a massive deal. I think the price in the deal was about $8.5 billion, but it was massive because of all the people and the infrastructure, the alliance agreements and everything involved was incredibly complicated. It actually took us 6 years to do that deal. We started the transaction in 2004 when I was a fourth-year associate. And when we signed the deal, it was 2010, and I was a new partner. So, we went through many iterations of trying to negotiate that deal for years. there was something in Continental's capital structure called the golden share, which was one share of Class B preferred stock that provided Northwest Airlines the ability to block any material transaction that Continental may want to engage with another airline. So they couldn't merge with United without the consent of Northwest. At one time during the process of kind of working on the deal, had the value of that one share at $1 billion at least. That's how valuable those blocking rights were.
So, as you know, like you just heard, this guy's done massive mergers and acquisitions in the billions of dollars. Real deal. This guy he's working hard. Let's jump ahead. I don't want to watch. I mean, it's an hour and something long, so try to get into some of the more juicy stuff. Skip ahead here.
Forex.com, committed to helping improve your trading skills with innovative tools. Our exclusive performance analytics.
I think XRP could have continued to flourish and let the free market decide which is the best asset to use. I mean, we do live in a free market economy, right? So it was really when the regulatory capture process occurred and they sued Ripple and created this whole kind of confusion and cloud on title. And then everybody promptly left. Jay Clayton left the next day. Bill Hinman was leaving right around that time. It just, it smelled bad. It looks bad. They were warned in advance by Joseph Grunfest, who's a very established former SEC commissioner himself, very established securities law professor at Stanford Law School. So we'd love to stick to crypto, get the government out of the market, and maybe we can do that, right? As for the massive debt, first of all, the numbers you were the 30 trillion and the 100 trillion, that's just what we're told. These aren't even getting into the derivatives that are sitting on top of all that debt, right? The BIS has just come out and said, whoops, there might be $80 trillion in off-balance sheet derivative transactions based on pension fund liabilities.
That's another thing. I don't think most people understand how much money is actually in our system with derivatives and all that. Warren Buffett has always said that derivatives are a weapon of a mass financial destruction. I was always one of those guys that thought that they were going to crash the entire system and then something will be reborn as, like XRP, the phoenix out of the ashes of the old system. But lately, just with the amount of control they have and the Triffin dilemma, I just thought that I've been thinking that they might just be merging us with the new system. We don't have to have some giant crash for them to institute, the ISO 222 compliant coins behind the scenes. So we have that ability to start using these digital currencies without a massive market correction. Do I think we still could? Absolutely. They love, destroying value and buying everything back at the bottom. But it doesn't necessarily have to happen that way, because if they crash crypto now, it could be such a long time before people have faith in it again. I'm not saying that it won't go down. I'm just saying I think it's more likely now that we have more of a slow merge into the new financial system. Anyways, let's jump back into this.
You're talking about those unfunded liabilities. You're talking about in America, you're just talking about Social Security and some entitlement programs that are part of what our government is supposed to be maintaining for the benefit of the people. The actual debts are stratospheric when you start to look at the derivative transactions that the pension fund assets are being bet into. I mean, if people really started to peel back
this amount of money, this is how we get to a $50,000 XRP. This is like his estimates are collecting all the money, and if you get to that kind of market cap, it could absorb all the money. That's why people talk about it. Let's go.
The onion. I'm talking the teachers and the various unions that have their retirement, set up in these pension funds, and started to understand the gamble and the risk that the people managing these funds have put their assets in on the global stage, it's not all that different from what's going on at FTX right now and what we're discovering. They would freak out, right?
I actually heard that some Canadian pension funds invested in FTX, I believe.
Right. There's a lot of pension funds. We're going to learn there's a lot of pension funds invested in FTX. When you start to talk about the Kevin O'Leary's and the celebrity investor class, they're managing money on behalf of these pension funds. Their limited partners are pension funds, right? Massive private equity firms, that's where their money is coming from, is these larger pension fund type institutions. CalPERS, state of Minnesota, all these different, mega University of Texas endowment, things like that. So the debt is massive. It's unpayable, right? It's kind of left the station. So there's got to be some type of reset. We've all heard about the Great Reset that's being pushed by the World Economic Forum and the IMF and others that are more kind of globalist, corporate leadership, and that's where they want to take us into this kind of a dystopian, everybody has a number tattooed to them somehow, and we get to decide, are you eating too much beef there, Zach, and we're going to have to dock you some social credit scores and things like that. Everyone I've talked to has no interest in living in a world like that.
Nope.
I certainly don't have, and I don't want my children and my grandchildren, I'm a grandfather now, don't want them to have to grow up in a world like that. Yeah. So we'd love to, this all ties back, we'd love to stay out of politics and the massive banking system, everything. Unfortunately, it's all connected, it's all tied in, and we're going to have to help them, we're going to have to help the bankers figure out how to manage through this, and that's part of what influences what we're up to with the committee.
Right.
In 2013, venture capitalists laughed at an elite team of robots for working to make the United States a...
And that's where...
So if you didn't catch that, Jimmy Vallee is also created a committee for XRP and dealing with this. He sent their what he's trying to do with the buyback system and getting the Federal Reserve to buy back XRP at these crazy levels, and he breaks it all down. He's done this with other huge companies. It's crazy whether it works, whether, the fact we have somebody like him sending stuff to Congress, and he talks about it later. He has confirmation that people in Congress have actually received what he's talking about. The fact that we even have something like that going on with a cryptocurrency is pretty nuts. Like I said, do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. But goddamn, the fact that you have these entities like Jimmy out here doing this kind of stuff, creating committees and trying to get this stuff in the hands of these, Congress members and helping the bankers try to figure this. Obviously we have a very big issue when our country is so far in debt in this debt-based system. Once you understand our system, this kind of thing doesn't seem that crazy because it has to come to a head at some point. You can't keep running these massive debts. The system will collapse at some point. Also, by the way, we had that target set for XRP at 29 cents. Yeah, we definitely shot down there the other day and hit that. Anyways, let's jump back into Jimmy.
Where it gets exciting for me, as I've looked at the digital asset space and what I could potentially be investing in, and I want to make it clear that this is not financial advice in any way or legal advice, but for me, I've always said I want to invest in projects that can actually scale and solve trillion-dollar problems. And when you start to mention, 30 trillion Nostro Vostro accounts, 80 trillion just in the pension funds potentially missing, we have, 30 trillion national debt, 100 trillion unfunded liabilities, quadrillions in the derivatives market.
Think about that, guys. You don't think XRP can hit $50,000? Did you just hear that? This is how you get that number. What he just listed. That is how you get that number, 50,000 per XRP.
You start to understand there's a lot of value that has to be reset and restructured. Not just debt, but you're talking about US dollar denominated assets, bonds, derivatives, stocks, everything. And it is in the quadrillions. Is XRP going to get it all? Probably not. There's a space for a couple other little cryptos probably. But we'll get into later, I guess, how XRP could potentially be a solution. But this is how big the problems are, guys. They are absolutely massive. They can't be solved unless there is a new Bretton Woods agreement, unless there is a new resetting of currencies, debt, and we have to get this liquidity crisis solved eventually. But it really, I don't think, can be done. The liquidity crisis part of it can't be solved until we reset and restructure our debt and currency. What do you think?
Well, I agree with you. And, this was, first of all, if you go back to 2019, I wasn't aware that a lot of this was going on behind the scenes. I certainly wasn't that exposed to digital assets. And it was really after the pandemic hit that I had time from my law practice to kind of invest myself into learning what's kind of going on in the broader financial picture and more of the macro. And that's really when I started to learn a lot of this type of stuff. But we're not, it's not us crazy crypto people out here on YouTube that are the ones really saying this. We've gotten our information from the IMF, from World Economic Forum. It seems like the only people who don't know or don't want to tell us what's going on are the political class in our own government. Everyone else is very openly moving towards a new financial system, a blockchain system that's asset-backed. They want to stabilize their own currencies by making them asset-backed, and that's what's happening.
The reason the politicians don't want to give us clarity on regulation around this space is because they are making a bunch of money from things like FTX and taking donations from Sam Bankman-Fried. That is why. They're milking this system as long as they can without regulation. Anyways, let's jump back in.
Happening. We can turn a blind eye to that and hide our head in the sand and hope that everyone comes to take care of us when it's all said and done. Or, as you say, we can grab a seat to the table and step up and fight for what we believe are our own personal interests and the interests of our family and our families at that table.
Dialpad's AI sales has completely transformed how we sell. AI is built right in with live code.
Now, this brings me back, reminds me, you just said that one deal took you 6 years to settle up and finish and complete. And so, unfortunately for the XRP community, we've been in this thing for 2 years now, folks. These can drag out for years. And this one is bigger than just a couple different companies with, gold shares and a couple different sophisticated deals going on. This is, national currency debt.
It's all money, right? It's all the money. Yeah. But, you're right. Now, it's only the lawsuit that's been going on for a couple of years. This process has been going on, I believe, since even before the 2008 financial crisis. Yeah. I think it was very clear to the professional, to the professional banking class of the world that, the fiat system was going to blow up. And so there was a process. I think that's why, I think that the David Schwartz patent on what is effectively blockchain and became, the basis of the XRPO goes back to like 1988 or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. There was certainly the Economist, or I think it's the Economist, had an article, "Get Ready for Digital Money," that was back in the 80s, right? It's the Rising Phoenix. Everybody knows that cover. So I think this has been in the works for a very, very long time. I think it was dramatically progressed during the Trump administration. That I think you had some people in power in America that were looking out for the benefit of kind of your rank and file Americans versus kind of the banking, media class of people, the elite class, and went around and were able to basically get different countries and the leadership of those countries to focus on what they had in common as opposed on what they, what they didn't have in common. So I think this whole process was dramatically accelerated during the Trump administration. The last 2 years we've lived through politically, I think, have been an attempt to try to fight back against the progress that was made. But ultimately, I think everyone is seeing now that the system is crumbling apart.
Yeah.
The media narrative is not working anymore. The fact we're even having this conversation is evidence of that. So it's time for everybody to put their big boy pants on and start to figure out how we're going to work together, because we all have to work together on this and resolve these issues and work through them. Yeah, could it take another 5 years, 10 years? It might. I think the infrastructure, the blockchain infrastructure, is substantially built out where we could start to transition pretty quickly. And I think we are going to start transition pretty quickly. But it's
once those ISO regulations go through, that's the beginning of it, guys, and that's coming up just around the corner. They pushed it back, but still, we are looking good. And this if you're in this industry now, in the bottom of this bear market, you're following along. If you're catching this alpha, following along, you're invested into the cryptos that we talk about, these ISO coins, XRP, Algorand, HBAR, XDC, Quant, definitely Quant, XLM. These are where you guys are going to look at this. We are historically at extremely low prices. If you're here with us now, I can promise you, not financial advice, of course, you're going to be a happy camper in the next decade to come. This isn't get rich overnight. Nothing is. I've been here since 2016. I've seen these pumps before, and I can tell you, I will also be here when we are setting all-time record highs, and I will be helping you move out and get into positions, because it's not just straight up and straight down. You have to be able to work your way throughout the market, and I've had to do it twice now. So I'll be here for you, and let's jump back into this.
Some more legacy big kids, your executive class, your banker class, your media class are going to need to kind of wake up and realize that, as Rosie Rios would say, the train has left the station. We've got to figure out how to get on board and work together to bring about a better future for everybody, which I really believe everybody really wants.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned, we're just reading off documents and publications from the IMF, the World Economic Forum, and some of the biggest banks and entities and groups in the world. In specific,
I honestly believe that once we get regulation, like you're talking about, Rosie Rios, the train has left the station, this next bull market could be the biggest bull market that crypto has ever seen. You have the infrastructure with all of these huge institutions like Fidelity and, all the other, Robinhood, like everybody is onboarding this crypto infrastructure. And I think that with BlackRock and everybody getting involved, I think that this is where this next bull run is going to be the biggest, the most massive bull run we have ever seen in crypto history. Anyways, guys, this interview goes on for quite a while. If you guys want to go check out Zach Rector, and you guys can watch the whole video over there. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Have a great day. Peace out, guys.